Good morning and welcome to Frontiers of Knowledge segment of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. Israel seems to be the hothouse from where the new technologies, new knowledge comes gushing forth. Could you ever imagine that all the videos, all the data on YouTube, which goes into hundreds of thousands, can be stored on a teaspoon? And this data today amounts to 10 petabytes. Imagination really boggles. But Technical Institute of Israel, an interdisciplinary centered Herzliya, again in Israel, they have developed a certain technology which uses DNA of these videos to store this massive data of 10 petabytes on just the YouTube, converting zeros and first that represents say YouTube videos from DNA nucleoids. It's no simple feat, but they have made it very simple. They have increased the amount of the letters that can be used in the conversion process and the benefit. This would enable us to move away from the huge energy-hungry server farms that we rely on to save the world's information. The server farms are the largest consumers of energy. And being the largest consumers of energy, they are equally responsible for extreme pollution. You see, the more energy you use, the more pollution would be there because energy is produced through polluting measures, polluting steps. So these farmhouses are perpetually hungry for energy. And such technologies using DNA to store massive amount of data, 10 petabyte in this case, just on a teaspoon. You can well imagine how much energy you are saving. According to one researcher, this one action only can save energy used by a city having 1 million people for 1 month. If 1 million households in 1 month use energy, the one server farm would use the same energy in 1 day. So this is a huge benefit. But don't take stress. Stress does cause a lot of trouble, and here come the people, the researchers, who say the stress, anxiety, they can be reduced in just 1 minute. And yoga and meditation are no way out. This new study has been reported in the National Trust is mental chronometry, which reveals that woodland sounds such as trickling streams, bird songs, or crunching of the leaves helps to increase the feeling of relaxation by 30%. In comparison, listening to the voice meditation apps for more than 5 minutes saw no change in relaxation levels. Woodland sounds decrease the feeling of stress by 24%, anxiety by 19%. However, the two measured voice meditation apps saw the increase fall by 13% and 27% after half an hour. So just you hear these sounds of the birds, you hear the crunching of the leaves, you listen to the waves of the ocean or the trickling stream just for a minute. and 30% of your stress level would be reduced. Listen it for 2 minutes and you'll feel absolutely calm. Your blood pressure would be normal and you would feel so fresh. Interestingly, this study also revealed this as resting state, when there's no sound at all. So if you're just calm, without any sound, without a thought, you can reduce your anxiety level by 23%. So you listen by the woodland songs, to the voices of nature, and relieve your energy. And 1 minute cure is a heaven-sent boon to the stressed people. These findings could potentially indicate the benefits of taking the even smallest amount of time to pause and reflect. In this mad rush for life, it's not difficult to get 1 minute. Even your iPod you can have, or a smartphone you can have, the sound of the chirping of the sparrows. You can have the crunching of the leaves, the waves. Close your eyes and listen to it when you are riding, not driving. Let's be very careful about that. And that's not the end. Harvard University and the Massachusetts General Hospital have developed a new system that can increase the lifespan of organs, human organs. What happens is, the moment a person dies, within a few hours, the organs have to be harvested for transplanting. But now, these two institutes combined have developed a technology that can put human organs into suspended animation. And these organs can survive even 27 hours after being removed from the body without any problem. This is normally, it takes 3 hours. After 3 hours, if the organ is not transplanted, it becomes useless. And now you have added 24 hours. This will be a great boon to the people who want the organs to have a better life or a longer life. Many times the organs have gone bad only due to the transit, because 3 hours was the maximum time and it takes a much longer time to transport the organs. So now you can take up to 27 hours. And the researchers have employed a technique called supercooling. What they do is, they inject the chemicals into the organs, and that allowing it to be stored at sub-zero temperature without freezing. Because freezing of an organ outside the body can cause irreparable damage. So this method could give donors a much greater chance to reach the recipients and the patients in time. Wow! How life-saving and helpful these technologies, these progresses are. But that's not enough. In India, there's a word called jugaad. It's an innovation, a rough innovation, but then it doesn't work. And now the Indian scientists have used the same homely word to cut smog. The biggest problem cities like Delhi are facing is heavy smog. And that smog is responsible for one of the world's most polluted cities. Every year, a choking smog descends on the whole of northwest India. And why? The region's farmers burn their fields after the rice harvest. With the result, the smog is there. The respiratory diseases increase, people suffer from asthma, and even breathing in that city at that time can be hell. So now the scientists have come up with a method that would allow farmers to sow their winter crop, usually wheat and rice, without burning of the stubble left after the harvest. Now, what happens normally is that the farmers harvest their crops, do the winnowing, and then they set the fields on fire so the stubble can be burned. And that smoke which comes mixes and creates smoke. So the researchers tested 10 alternatives to burning, finding which could be of maximum use, and they came up with a machine called the Happy Seeder. This machine allows the farmers to produce more food, boosts profits up to 20%, and cuts greenhouse gas emission by 78%. So 78% reduction in greenhouse gases would naturally reduce smog correspondingly, and air pollution would be much less, air would be cleaner. The Happy Seeder is already being used on 800,000 acres of farmland to grow wheat and rice in winter and rice in summer. But then total area is 4 million hectares in northwest country. And northwest India is India's bread basket. So according to the scientists and the authorities, they want to bring at least 2 million hectares in 1 year under this process of Happy Seeding. And the cost of the Happy Seeder is, they say, $2,000, which ordinary farmer cannot afford. But they have said that consortiums can be made and the government can give Happy Seeder to the village communities and they can borrow it. At present, the farmers in northwest India burn 23 million tons of rice straw every year. 23 million tons. And if this straw is placed one over the other, it would cover 1.1 times the distance to the moon. So this much of straw they burn. But with a Happy Seeder, they won't have to burn it. They can plant rice or wheat without removing the stubble. What would happen is stubble would go back and decompose by itself. And now the last thing of today's episode, nature-inspired mini factory. Scientists have come up with a synthetic leaf that turns sunlight into drugs, into medicine. This nature-inspired mini factory can produce drugs on the spot in a jungle. And as the scientists say, it can even produce it on the Mars. You see, the biggest problem is the environment cost of the pharmaceutical drug production. An average pharma plant uses nearly 15 times more energy per square foot than a commercial office building, and some of which is used for the chemicals reactions to make common medication such as anti-malarial drugs. Now, Netherlands has come up with something, and they have found a way to cut the energy cost by using sunlight and artificial leaf to manufacture drugs wherever and whenever they want. There's a German Chemical Society journal, and this was published in that journal. And they have demonstrated that the medically relevant chemicals, modified solar concentrators, which capture light like leaves do. Idhomo University of Technology in Netherlands has come up with this technology which combines these solar concentrators, which look like actual leaves, and they are tiny veins, pathways called microchannels. So ingredients are put in these microchannels, They, as I said, they look like veins on the leaf, and they are spun to react by energy from sunlight. And voila, your product is ready, saving a huge energy. To produce, for example, an anti-worm drug, the researchers used a lamp equipped with a bulb that simulated typical solar conditions, and the product was there. According to them, they had developed this technology in 2016. Until now, they have been consistently testing, researching, going ahead. They used a silicon grid dyed red. Then they changed to plexiglass, dyed it red, green, and blue. The leaf-shaped version highlights the similarity in the microchannels of the synthetic leaf and the natural leaves of the trees. And this tends to scale the ease of calculation. In addition to cutting costs, the solar reactors speed up the chemical reaction. And now they say that if you have these leaves, you can take them to the villages, put the ingredients, and the leaf would be a mini factory. As a matter of fact, the production of the product of the medicines would be decentralized and produced where needed. The cost of transportation, the cost of production, everything will come down and it will be much better. This is a nature-inspired approach where medicines are produced outside the pharmaceutical labs, locally where they are needed. All that you need is sunlight and a mini factory. Wow, that is something. Well, friends, this episode showed you the advances that are being made in all fields, and we'll continue with this, providing you new nuggets of knowledge next week. Thank you.